United Airlines under fire today. That after a passenger got violently dragged from a plane for refusing to get bumped. Why this incident is making many a blood boil and going sky high. Then New York State providing free college tuition to eligible students. Is this too good to be true? We'll read the fine print and debate it. Also, first the airstrikes, now the political fallout. That as Secretary of State Rex Tillerson heads to Russia, we will look at whether we're getting mixed messages from the Trump administration. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to RFL. I'm Richard French. United under fire today for forcibly ejecting this passenger from a plane. The airline says 4 seats were needed so crew members could get from Chicago to Louisville. They said that there would be a domino effect of delays if the crew couldn't get there. So United decided to offer cash for people to get off the plane. Well, 3 took the deal. This guy did not. And that's when things got crazy. The airline released several statements. Here are portions of 2 of them from the day of the incident. Quote, "I apologize for having to reaccommodate," there's their words here, "to these customers. This situation was unfortunately compounded when one of the passengers we politely asked to deplane refused, and it became necessary to contact Chicago aviation security officers to help." Accommodate. Well, that jaw-droppingly tone-deaf response not only confirmed the worst suspicions, but it also became Exhibit A in how to turn a crisis into an unmitigated disaster. And it also created dream material for late-night TV. I want you to take a look at this fake ad that ran on Jimmy Kimmel last night. It was both hysterical and, I think, spot on.
We're United Airlines. You do what we say, when we say, and there won't be a problem. Capiche? If we say you fly, you fly. If not, tough.
Oh my God, look at what you did here!
Give us a problem and we'll drag your ass off the plane. And if you resist, we'll beat you so badly you'll be using your own face as a flotation device. United Airlines. You.
You know, after getting deservedly crushed for the last couple days, the United CEO finally, on his 3rd try, figured out what the rest of us knew the minute we saw that video. Say sorry. Here was the apology. The truly horrific event that occurred on this flight has elicited many responses from all of us. Outrage, anger, disappointment. I share all of these sentiments and, one above all, my deepest apologies for what happened. I want you to know that we take full responsibility and we will work to make it right. Sorry, Mr. Munoz, too little, too late. United's stock price, it was off 3% today, a valuation of about $1.5 billion in terms of a hit. But while I'm sure that there will be lawsuits and more bad press to come, this story touched a nerve with so many of us because we can relate. No, I haven't thankfully been dragged, bloody, kicking and screaming off a flight, but I have been treated like cattle, reminded like almost nowhere else my rights as a customer are basically at the airline's discretion. Where else can you buy a ticket, sometimes more than a month in advance, only to learn as you're ready to board that they've overbooked, translation sold your seat? Try these other analogies. Imagine you're going to a restaurant for your anniversary dinner only to be told by some snotty maitre d' that they've given your reservation away. Or how about showing your ticket to a game or a concert and the guy at gate 5 telling you, better luck next time, we've given your seats to someone else. Or how about taking your freshman-to-be son or daughter to college this fall, only to be informed when they get to the dorm room that the school admitted too many incoming students and your kid was randomly selected to be removed from campus. But don't you worry, they'll call you when something else opens up. How did this mistreatment become acceptable? Now, I remember many years ago being stranded in Charlotte on a connecting flight making my way from LaGuardia to New Orleans. I'll never forget this twerp at the gate telling me, without a shred of compassion, that I was randomly selected to be bumped from the final flight of that night. When asked who decided to sell my seat and which rocket scientist decided that continuing to sell seats on a sold-out flight was moronic, I was told to read the fine print on my ticket, at which point I offered an alternative location that the gate attendant could stow my ticket. Miraculously, a person volunteered to take the offered compensation in a hotel room in Charlotte. Better him than me, and I was able to board the flight. A little side note, that gate attendant, he tried unsuccessfully to keep me from boarding the flight because I had the temerity to complain. This is a recurring theme for flyers. Get screwed over, and if you dare raise your voice or protest, things will go from bad to worse. Well, the next day, I worked the phones, and I was shocked to learn that my experience is part of a conscious strategy by the airlines. Not only do airlines intentionally oversell our flights frequently, they keep all the proceeds from the ticket sales if those holders don't show up. And without any consideration who bought tickets, well, those people, whether they reserved it or not, they reserve the right here, if no volunteers come forward, to boot whoever they choose off the flight. So why, I asked, after selling the last available seat, didn't they inform any successive buyers that they were purchasing seats on an overbooked flight and they would be the first to be bumped if in fact everyone showed? The answer I got was because. I also asked, heaven forbid, why keep selling seats once you're already sold out? The answer I got to that question was, that's our model. Well, it's a crappy model. Now, forget about the old adage in customer relations that the customer comes first, please. The guy was dragged off of an overbooked flight along with 3 other ticketed patrons because United staffers needed to take their seats. Now, let's be clear. United could have driven those workers the 300 miles they were traveling if they weren't so cheap or, God forbid, booked another flight, and they didn't take us, the customer, for granted so much. We will put up with plastic food, with cranky flight attendants, interminable delays. But the least that we deserve is what we expect everywhere else: honest services for honest pay. A lawmaker somewhere out there with a shred of common sense and the pulse of the electorate will one day figure this out. Until then, book your ticket and cross your fingers. Tomorrow night I'll have the attorneys to talk about what rights we have, but don't hold your breath. There are not too many. But coming up next tonight, New York State will start giving free tuition at public schools to students who qualify. Who would complain about that, you ask? Well, more people than you might think.